Hi everyone. So I feel very privileged tonight because I'm going to be introducing Ken to you all. I'm Lily. I graduated in 2010. This is very surreal. So Ken's going to be talking to us tonight about what he thinks actors can do if they want to stand out more and produce more exciting work. When he first asked me to say a few words, I thought, Christ, how am I going to do him justice? Everything that he taught me over the years. And he's someone who's encouraged the best out of all of us with such passion and dedication and generosity, which doesn't seem to have waned at all in the past 40 years of teaching. But then I started thinking about his lessons, which seemed to me at the time like this treasure chest of knowledge and challenges to be met, and they were like gifts really, and I'm so grateful for all of it. I started thinking about circus. Most people in here have had lessons of Ken, right? Yeah, circus, like catapulting around the room, trying to fly out of windows, staring at dots on the wall, which felt like for hours. That he actually gave us tools to master the universe. I mean, who else does that? And I still use those tools, like, shifting your paradigm and your expectations on a day-to-day basis. And one of my favorite ones was when we were all challenged to come in the room and be an exciting, dangerous actor. And if the rest of the room got bored, they could just turn their backs. And I was terrified. This is like hell. And everyone came in and, put their best foot forward. Chaos ensued. I think there's still a dent in one of the classroom walls from where Dave in my ear threw a chair. And then what we realized, and what Ken taught and what he just embodies, is that all of that energy can just be distilled down into a moment of being totally alive and present and generous to your other actors, to the audience. And if you can find all that chaos but keep it in a structure, then anything is possible from moment to moment. And I still strive for that. Lastly, I just thought before you bring him out, I text my Guildhall WhatsApp group and I was like, guys, what pearls of wisdom do you have? What do you remember? What do you learn from Ken? And it was this whole stream. It's only just stopped beeping just now of these thoughts and ideas. I'm just going to say some of them really fast. Okay, be more blue, be more red. Good thing, bad thing, who knows? Underarm energy. We talked about the twinkle in his eyes, his sparkling blue eyes, his blue t-shirt. The fact that he is just a total legend. That generosity and warmth came up a lot, how he teaches through that and the power of that. I feel like I've written down too many of these. That he sees to the core of actors. He's still Skyping us, giving extra mime classes, coming to see our plays, which just means the world and gives us the motivation to keep going. Life skills with lots of Zs. The potential of the group, remember the helicopter, to see the world like a child. And lastly, what someone said from my ear, Mark, say no more, we all owe. And I feel that is so true. We all owe Ken so much, and I'm so excited to listen to him tonight. Here he comes.
Okay, ready? Here we go. Thank you. Good evening, and thank you very much for coming. It's interesting, isn't it? This is a great way to split an audience. Some of you might be thinking, there's our Ken, being dangerous again. And some of you who don't know me might be thinking, what a wanker, such ego. We just wanted to learn about bloody acting. It's probably not even his bike. So there's a bit of a risk in starting with something like this, but that risk goes to the very heart of what this talk is about, because when I think of all the most successful actors I've taught over the years, over the decades, and the greatest actors I've interviewed over the years, the quality they all had in common was an uninhibited imagination and an ability to be comfortable with taking risks. And taking risks, that not being afraid to get it wrong, that was the secret of their creative genius and what they did. So that's what I want to explore today. So we'll confront it. It's something, whatever level you're working at in your work as actors or directors, it's something for you to consider deeply about this question of risk. So let's confront it head on.
How do you make yourself more creative? How do you exercise your imagination? Because the imagination is like a muscle, isn't it? You've got to work at it. So it reminds me of one exercise I sometimes give to my students. 20 different ways of coming through a door. Do you see, the obvious thing is we come on and we say the line. But between point A and point B, there's a whole range of different ways you can do that. Not to hijack the text to show off, but to tell the story in a more interesting way. In fact, try it now. Just turn to the partner, the person next to you, and just very quickly swap 5 different ways of entering through
A door, 5 different ways, quickly. Now, just go. Okay, good, thanks. Good. Okay, so stop. So it's just to get the imagination working. There's another thing about risk is that actors do tend to hold themselves back. And sometimes you think it's like asking them to jump off a cliff. You know, it's very easy to settle for a default of safeness. But an audience doesn't always want that. You know, you don't come along to the theatre and settle into your chair and think, I'm really looking forward to this. I hope this is going to be really, really bland. You know, overall, you want a bit of excitement of something there. And of course, you shouldn't be outrageous all the time. You know, that would just be frantic. And sometimes you just have to do the job, you know, to tell the story in the simplest, clearest way. Just say the line. But there will be moments when the text demands you to do something bold, something bolder. And that's hard, isn't it? It's hard. But if you want to stand out as an actor, you really need to come to terms with finding that boldness. But it's not easy. I mean, one night I was trying to ponder how to start this talk, and I woke up at 6 o'clock the next morning and thought, I've got it. I'll come on a bicycle. Brilliant. By breakfast time, I thought, what a stupid idea. No. By lunchtime, I thought, what was I thinking? I mean, to make such a fool of myself, you know, on a bicycle, for God's sake. So do you see how your unconscious mind, the source of your creative imagination, your conscious mind, the rational part, they fight each other. Anyway, the bicycle won, creativity won, and here we are. So before I go any further, can you give me an idea who you are? How many actors are here tonight? Actors? Good. And directors? How many directors? Good. And people in business? Yes. Drama teachers? My family? Thank you. Good. Good. So let's make a start. By the way, feel free to tweet or Instagram or anything like that. We've got the information up there, as long as you don't talk during the time. Tell all your friends about it. So let's make a start. I'll address this mainly to you as actors, but it's also my chance to share my process as a teacher of acting. So for those of you who are drama teachers or directors, I hope there'll be a lot that you can take away, a lot of practical ideas that you get from this, because this is me giving the highlights of 40 years, which we'll try and get. We'll try and get you out of here in an hour and a half, so it doesn't go on all long.
I've called this talk Training the Outstanding Actor. What I mean by outstanding is it's not about fame. It's someone who has all the core skills at a high level, mastery of voice, body, coherent acting technique. but also a mysterious quality above and beyond that, something that compels our attention, that commands the space, that fascinates us, an imagination that draws us in. Now, how do you do that? And as a teacher, how do you teach that? That's what I want to explore with you this evening.
Being outstanding, it implies a desire to stand out from other people. And on the face of it, that might go against the whole idea of the ensemble. Now, I know the acting ensemble is at the core of a lot of the training, the ethos of the training of many drama schools, particularly here at Guildhall. But an acting ensemble should not be like a cozy fog you disappear in. It's an electrical field, fizzing with energy. And within that electrical field, any one of you should be able to take the moment at any time. It's being in an ensemble is like a team, it's being in a team. It's, if you think, Manchester United or the All Blacks, they all play superbly well together, but there is a certain moment when one person gets the ball over the line or kicks the ball into the goal. And as an actor, you've got to be prepared for that moment. It might be you who has the laugh line that makes us laugh. It might be you who has the line that makes us cry. So you've got to be ready to take that moment. It's like scoring the goal. But you don't score the goal by yourself. You have the team with you. Because it's the team that wins, not the individual. So,
in this talk, I want to look at three basic issues. That's getting the job, getting the next job, and once you've got the job, doing exciting work.
So let's talk first about getting the job. A lot of very good actors unfairly almost don't get the job they deserve because they might be bringing the wrong energy into the room. And I'm talking about auditions and the interview that goes with the audition. So I'd like to explore this. Could I have a volunteer? I'd like an actor just to do an interview. Okay, could I have the gentleman over here? Then there weren't many hands went up. We're talking about risk. Come on, there. Thanks very much. You're good, well done. Your name is Andrew. Andrew, would you like to come and sit down? Let's put you here. And we'll imagine I'm casting for, say, let's make this a touring production. We're going to devise work and so on. That's just so we can see the things. So I'll ask you some things about it. Yes. All will be revealed. So Andrew, tell me a little bit about yourself. What have you been doing lately?
I recently did an episode of Doctors.
Doctors, yeah. And how was that?
It was a lot of fun, actually. It was a lot of fun. Good crew. Really nice cast. And we seemed to sort of click.
Yes, yeah. So it's been mainly television, or?
Recently, yeah.
Yes.
The sort of last 5-6 years, mainly TV. Before that,
Yes.
theatre.
So what I'm looking for is we're going to be devising this production. Have you done anything like that before?
At drama school, yeah.
Yeah, at drama school, improvisation, that sort of. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yes,
I suppose it depends on who you're devising with.
Yes. And so we'll be touring. Have you done much touring before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
good. I've been to Austria, Italy, around the UK.
Good. So that's quite a bit. Good. Well, thank you very much. Now, can you just? I just want you to talk to your neighbour while I just take Andrew aside for a moment, and just discuss what impressions you got. If you were me interviewing him, what impressions would you have? Would you be likely to cast him? Just 30 seconds. Come over here. Just. Have a seat again. Okay, so I just want to run the interview. You can just bear with us. I just want to run the interview once more. So we'll just start from take 2. So Andrew, how are you? Tell me a little bit about yourself. So what have you been doing lately?
So I've been in an episode of Doctors.
Yeah.
I've been doing workshops. I was in Coronation Street.
Coronation Street?
Yeah, which was really good fun.
What did you learn from that?
A question of teamwork,
Yeah.
getting on with people. I was a day player, so I had to come in, I had to know my lines, know what I was doing, just hit the ground running essentially, because that's what the director wanted. So.
Yes, I see. Good. And what I'm going to be doing is we're going to be devising this play, and we'll go on to. Have you had much experience of devising before?
Right now, yeah.
I mean, how do you feel about that?
Very excited. I think it's definitely. I think if you've got somebody to work off, I think it's really good fun. A lot of value can be added to the whole thing. So I'm really up for it.
What's your experience of this? Was it drama school or?
Actually, I did Shakespeare workshops in Austria. So we had a lot of different schools, a lot of different language abilities, and we had to sort of sometimes improvise the text because we were bringing a classic text to the school, and some schools weren't quite up to other schools. So this was it. We sort of did on the spot improvisation. Maybe paraphrase a bit of really difficult text. So.
Good. Sounds very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, what were the differences? Tell me. Posture. Posture? What about it? Yes? Anything else? That's right. Body language? What about the body language? Yeah. Is this the first time or the second time? Second time, yeah. Did anyone find a more favourable impression the second time? Yes? Yes. Okay, all right, so the question is, what did I say to him when I took him over there that made the difference? Because this is important for you to know, isn't it, when you're going for an audition? Boost your energy? No? Sorry, what? No? Passion? No? Okay, I'll tell you, I did actually prepare. I did prepare Andrew both times. Secretly, I briefed him beforehand. And I asked him the first time to prepare himself in a negative frame of mind, thinking specifically, I don't think I'm really right for this part. I'm a bit out of my depth. I don't think this director likes me that much. And then I asked him to try to do his best. And as you can see, it comes across in lots of body language things, the tone of voice. He might lose eye contact quite a lot. And the things he talked about himself were a bit negative. And as a result, we don't have really that much confidence in him. So the second time, when I took him aside, I asked him to prepare himself in a positive frame of mind. Again, being quite specific, thinking, I feel I'm just right for this job. I'm getting on really well with this director. I think I can bring such value to this company. And I love talking about my passion for theatre. Okay, so it's difficult for him doing this in front of 600 people, but there is a difference that we detect, and it may make all the difference between a director saying, yes, I want a bit of that energy in my cast, or no, I don't think I can take a risk on this person. And the thing is, it's quite obvious, of course we should prepare ourselves in a positive frame of mind, but we all have bad days, don't we? There might be something going on in our life that's really upsetting us, and we bring that cloud into the room, and as you see, it can make all the difference between getting the job and not getting the job. So that's the first thing, is prepare yourself in a positive frame of mind. Now, I want to go on to getting the next job. One of the courses I run here at Guildhall, as Lily mentioned, is life skills, and that really helps prepare people to get more sense of resilience and grit to face all the knockbacks that you do get in this profession. Because without grit, you are not going to survive. Yeah? You will face lots of knockbacks, and you've got to find a way of surviving that. So one of the ways of doing this is to think of goals. You know, goals are a very powerful way of focusing your energy. And successful people in almost any field tend to have clearly expressed goals. It helps them to be more proactive rather than reactive in facing all the challenges of their work. And it helps them become more in control of their destiny as an actor. The thing about goals is that you shouldn't be afraid to dream, and to dream big, and you should believe in yourself. Now, some people will say, all this positive thinking stuff is complete rubbish because you never achieve your goals and it leads you to over-realistic expectations and you're constantly, chronically disappointed and that leads you to a downward spiral of disappointment and depression and you never get off the couch, you know. But where does that leave us? You're never daring to dream, never daring to risk, never attempting anything out of the ordinary. Why waste your life aspiring to mediocrity? So you can have a dream and you can think big, but also you need to have a plan B for if it doesn't work, what you're going to do, how you recover from that, what you've learned from the situation, and how you'll do it differently next time. One of my favorite quotations is Michelangelo, who said, "Better to have aimed too high and failed rather than too low and succeeded." Yeah? So keep those aspirations. Now, one way of dealing with a goal, sometimes it may be so big you think, where can I start? I just don't even know where to start. So a good way is to chunk the goal down into smaller goals. So if we can have the next slide. Say your goal is I want a lead role at the National Theatre. So you think, what are the things that need to happen before that can be achieved? Well, do well at drama school for one thing. You know, make sure you achieve a technical excellence, use the training well, get control of the voice, the body, your imagination, take risks while you have the chance of doing it, and get good casting as much as you can. Now, get an agent. How are you going to get an agent? Write letters to people. Research who are the good agents. When you get the agent, work proactively with the agent, so you don't wait for them to do all the work. What about self-promotion? Have you got your headshots done? Look for public relations opportunities. It might be writing articles, writing blogs, that sort of thing. What about, do you have a website? Can you start on writing the text for your website? What about your demo reel? Do you have an audio reel? Do you have a video reel? Do you need to find somebody, a cameraman, who can help you to do that? So find somebody there. Going over there, you need to develop your skills and your networking skills. What's your social media like? Are you using LinkedIn? Are you using Twitter? Seek out events where people, industry people, influential people will be. Find who the important casting directors are, so you can get in contact with those. Research the key players in the field. Who are the directors you really want to work with? Read the trade papers, find out what's going on. And then work at your skills going up the top. Attend workshops, find what skills you would like to do that complement and add to what you did at drama school. Keep your body and mind fit. Keep practicing sight reading. Keep working on the voice, the body, all those things. And you need, of course, professional experience if you're to work towards the National Theatre. So get something in a fringe play, an independent play, anything that will give you experience of being on stage night after night after night. Try to get into a regional company, find out what they're doing. Find out, write to the theatres, look at the casting opportunities. Do you see, in the centre, it's a huge, almost unachievable goal. So you find these other ones, the red circles, those are the key things you need to do, and then you break it down to smaller goals, and you start to find on the edge of that, these things are quite achievable. You know, those are things that you could actually do. Now you might be thinking, oh yeah, this is all great, this is wonderful, but am I actually good enough to survive in this game? So I want to talk now about 2 studies that can change your life. And this deals with the question of talent versus effort. And these have certainly changed my whole approach to teaching. But first, let's start with you as a little kid, when you were 5, 6 or 7. I bet, whether you're an actor or not, that you all had an innate talent for acting. You had no problem pretending to be someone else, and you expressed yourself with joy and enthusiasm, the source of your charm. And this happens. Just watch a crowd of little kids on a school outing when they pile into your carriage on the tube. One moment everybody's sitting there, it's like a library, reading, there's no eye contact, nobody's talking to it. And then suddenly all these kids, there's fizzing with energy, and they're jumping up and down and enthusiastic and so on. And the tragedy is that as they grow up, that imagination and that joy will most probably be lost. The educationalist, Sir Ken Robinson, said, that little kids are not frightened of being wrong. But by the time they become adults, they will have lost that capacity. They will become frightened of being wrong. And as he puts it, we get educated out of our creativity. Picasso said the same thing. All children are born artists. The problem is to remain an artist as you grow up. So in a drama school audition, for example, when a 20-year-old or 18-year-old comes along full of imagination and joy, everybody goes, wow, yes, please, because this is so rare in an adult. And if in your working life as an actor you can hold on to that, you're going to do much better. So if you want to fulfill your potential as an actor, you need to come to terms with getting it wrong. People who succeed in any field, they tend to be comfortable with failure as a necessary step towards success. So this leads me to the first of the 2 studies I want to talk about. And this one is by a psychologist, an American psychologist called Carol Dweck. And I'll explain it briefly. If from childhood your parents and early teachers were always telling you how bright and talented you were, you grow up with a need to prove that talent. You can't afford to fail. And as a result, you tend to shy away from risk. Dweck calls this a fixed mindset. You believe that the talent you were born with is set in stone, and there's nothing you can do to change that. If, on the other hand, you were praised, parents, teachers praised your effort, then you become more comfortable with failure. You see your life as a work in progress, and you're more inclined to take reasonable risks.
Dweck calls this growth mindset. So the key for teachers and directors is to praise effort and not talent.
And that can make a big difference. Now you're probably thinking, oh, bloody hell, everybody told me I was a prodigy when I was young, and now I'm doomed, there's no hope. But the good news is, knowing about this concept, you can change the way you think. And it's just really in the way you deal with challenges and setbacks. For example, imagine you auditioned for a part of the National Theatre and you didn't get it. The fixed mindset reaction to that is what? I'm sure, yes, what else? I'm not good enough. I'll never act again. Should have been a lawyer, go and do something else. And the growth mindset reaction is?
I've been seen by a really cool casting director.
So I've made some fantastic contacts. Casting directors have seen me. That's good. Anything else? I can learn from that. Yes. Sorry, I'll be better next time. Do you see? One more. Imagine it's the first day of rehearsals on a big BBC TV drama, and everyone else is vastly more experienced than you are. Growth, fixed mindset reaction. I'm going to be worse than they are. I've failed. I'm going to fail. I don't deserve to be here. I'll be found out. Yes. And growth mindset reaction. I can learn something. fantastic opportunity, I'm going to learn from these people. I got the job, the director had faith in me, and I go. Do you see? It's just how you build that. So you can choose which one you adopt. You can choose the way you think.
Now let's probe this question of effort a little bit further. This leads us to the second study, and this is where it gets really interesting.
First of all, I'll tell you, when I finished middle school in New Zealand, we were split up. So the girls went to a girls' secondary school, the boys to a boys' school. So it was a bit like a grammar school. So you did an entrance exam, and normally in the class I was in, we would go into the top tier of the secondary school, because it was two classes coming together of the boys. And we sat the entrance exam, but I failed. Obviously, I was a bit thick. And I was devastated. But fortunately, there was a chance, because at the end of the first term, you could sit another exam, and they would move some people up and some people down. So I remember my teacher saying to me one day in the library, "Ken, why do you always look so sad?" I couldn't really say, because I just want to get out of this class, But I worked so hard that term, and I came top of the class, and I got into the class with my mates. The thing was, though, that I must have had such a shock that I went on working, and 5 years later, to my surprise, I won the prizes for the Ducks, the top scholar.
Now the point is that through sheer effort, I started as someone of lower ability and overtook some of the brighter ones. And this pattern happens time and time again.
It happens in drama schools. People all start as one big, fluffy, talented bunch all together, and by the second or third year, it's thinning out. Some people are forging ahead through their effort, some are lagging behind. It happens in your profession as an actor. By the time you're in your 30s or 40s, your initial star may have dimmed or brightened according to your effort. So as an actor, what control do you have over this? What can you do? Okay, luck plays a lot of a role in it, but effort plays a huge part. And I'll explain why. To go back to the drama school for a moment, and I don't think I'm revealing any important secrets, but why is it that here in this school, some of our most successful actors were actually on the reserve list at the audition? At least one gold medalist was on the reserve list. Why is it that one of our most successful actors ever, Daniel Craig, came back here recently and told students that on his first attempt, he didn't even get into Guildhall. He wasn't good enough. But like me at my school, he tried again, and the rest, as they say, is history for that. So,
what all this suggests is that effort can overtake talent. And this is not just my idea. It's from the Swedish psychologist Anders Ericsson. He's best known for what became famous as the 10,000-hour principle, which was later popularized by Malcolm Gladwell.
And Ericsson, when one of his studies, he looked at the profiles of Nobel Prize science winners. He wanted to compare effort and IQ. And he was surprised to find that these people were not the most intelligent beings on the planet. They weren't even the most intelligent scientists. These scientists had started working alongside others who had higher IQs than they did, but through their sheer effort, they overtook them and won the Nobel Prize. And Ericsson has examples of people, of chess players, of sports people, of musicians, where this has happened. So the central point he's making is that natural talent doesn't make a difference. He says there is no such thing as a science gene or a chess gene, and I'm sure he would argue that there is no such thing as an acting gene either.
Now, the implications for you as an actor are enormous. Even taking into account the factor of luck, you can influence your destiny. Through sheer effort, or what Ericsson calls deliberate practice, you can overtake actors who may be more talented than you are. And I've seen this happen here at Guildhall often enough for me to know that he's right.
Deliberate practice, by the way, is what Ericsson calls is working outside your comfort zone to develop skills that are just beyond your present abilities and under the guidance of a master teacher or trainer. So that's the kind of tuition you would get at a top drama school, or as an actor in a production if you're working with a really top director. It's the kind of challenge that keeps you going that you would get in such a production. So the question is how? How do you find the motivation to keep that effort going? Now, another of Erikson's findings, and I'm sorry this is bad news for lazy people, is that successful people in any field work about twice as hard as everyone else. Now, of course, you've got to have a life. Sorry, I can't come to the party tonight. I've got to practice 500 arm swings, you know. But managing your time is going to be important and getting a balance. But you've also got to be in the right place. Now, the leadership expert John Adair tells us that half our motivation comes from within us and half comes from outside, from the environment we're in. So, for example, if you're in a demotivating drama class or you're in a very cynical cast of a production, your motivation is going to dwindle away.
So, what can you do? The solution is simple, but not easy. Surround yourself with motivating people. Try your best to get into that motivating environment. Try to get into the top drama school, even if, like Daniel Craig, it means waiting another year. Try to seek out and work with the very best directors. And they're not all at the National Theatre or the RSC.
There are lots of good people out there. But remember, as John Adair says, half your motivation comes from within you. So you've got to take responsibility for your effort.
But back to acting. What does all this mean to you as an actor, or a director, or a teacher?
In the second half of the talk, I'm going to bring on my support act to liven things up a bit. I've got 4 of my third-year drama students, 5, who I'll bring on shortly. But I want to, in this part, to share my solutions of how I deal with some of these issues. So we'll look at the journey to outstanding. How do you do exciting work? The first thing I do is to lay out the territory. In my book, The Outstanding Actor, I structured everything around what I considered were the 7 qualities and values that really make a difference to actors and to their success. That's warmth. It comes from a warm heart. The opposite is coldness. Yes. Is generosity of spirit. Give it up. The opposite is selfishness. That doesn't turn an audience on. And enthusiasm. To work with enthusiasm. That's so powerful because it's contagious. It spreads through the room. It inspires and enthuses the other people around you. And grit, we've talked a little bit about that. Danger, where you can surprise an audience. And presence and charisma, which I'll come to soon. So
today I want to share with you 4 aspects of that. That's values, imagination, presence, and charisma. And to a large extent, this applies to those of you in business as well as in theatre. So let's
talk first about values. And if we can change the slide. This painting here is by Jackson Pollock. Some of you may hate it. Some of you may love it, and some of you may be completely indifferent. That's natural, because we naturally bring our own prejudice to any painting. You, of course, are like a Jackson Pollock when you stand on stage, aren't you? With the audience may be projecting their prejudices onto you. Now, half of that you can't do much about. The way you look, the way you sound. But the other half, your behavior, that's your mannerisms, your energy, your personality, that you can do something about. And that's why I lay out the values on day 1 of any training that I'm doing. So I want you to work with warmth. I want you to work with enthusiasm, with generosity to each other. And to cultivate curiosity. Because I believe if you get the values right, your work will never come across as arrogant or cynical or patronizing. You'll never look vain or pleased with yourself, all these things that turn an audience on. So I'd like to show you some of these values in action. So can I introduce my students to you? Come up on stage. This is, going around. This is Nick, this is Charlie, this is Poppy, this is Ellis, and this is Tahib. And we're going to, what are we going to do? It's very difficult to kind of do a kind of intimate class and taking risks and all that in front of all these people, but they're well trained, so they should be able to do it. So I'm going to look at an exercise that brings into effect some of these values. And this is an exercise that I call frogs and stones. Can I just have two of you for the moment? If we imagine there's two frogs on a lily pad, and I'm the stone, the stone is thrown into the pond. What do the frogs do? They'll get a fright, won't they? So it's a medium stone, they jump back, and they come back again. A little stone, they get a mild shot, and the thing is to get, as soon as it hits, they jump and come back again. Big stone. That's it. Okay, so that's the principle of our game. So all five of you in the space, and the rule is that anyone can be a stone at any point, and the others react in some way. So I'll just move this out of the way and give you a lot of, can you just move the music stand away a bit? So you've got this space. Right, let's see what happens. Frogs and stones, anyone can go for it. You can use sound as well. Okay, okay, so keep it accurate, that's pretty lousy. So as soon as somebody hits, you do it. And there are two modes of this. One is the jump, bang, on that. And the other is if I start moving. So, yeah, once again. Yes, okay, they react on that. So there's those two modes, okay? Over to you. And it's always a movement away, there's no attraction. Good. Okay, so there should be yes, a little bit sharper reactions. It can be a little bit sharper. Try to avoid a hole in the middle. Keep going. Think faster. You can use sound with this. So the rule is for the moment only the stone makes the sound. We haven't done this for a while. Keep going. Anyway, look, let's go. Stay there, stay there. So this starts as a game about accuracy in the space, which we're sort of getting there. But after a while, if you're just looking for the accuracy, it can get a little bit boring after a while. So what I want you to concentrate now, keep it accurate, but at the same time, try and give each other a good time, so the others enjoy playing with you. Make it fun for each other. Off you go. Good. Keep sharp reflexes. Make sure they enjoy it. Okay, good, thank you. So that's all right. So they're getting a bit more warmth and generosity and enthusiasm with it. But just giving each other a good time, that alone can lead to rather sensational but ultimately meaningless choices. So let's take it a step further now to pick up the story. So if you're the stone, I want you to sharpen the objective, what you are doing to the others. So you're very clear, start to pick up the thread of a story through it. Have a clear objective to each other, and still take risks. Go. Think faster. Strong objectives, keep going. Okay, good, well done, thank you. Good work, yeah. You can have a seat just over there. So it's that balance of skill and the fun that makes an exciting actor. It's keeping that, just all skill is just a bit boring, all fun is chaotic and messy, and so you need that balance. And I want to come now to the other value of curiosity. This is a really very, very important value to have. It's so valuable. When I was researching The Outstanding Actor, I spoke to top actors and directors and casting directors and critics, and I said, what do you think it is that makes an actor outstanding? And the word that kept coming up was curiosity. Keeping alive to the world around you, they told me. And if you can keep that going, it gives you the energy to keep you motivated, to make the effort to move forward. I'll give you an example. A few months ago, I was teaching a class here of the third years, and it was on a Saturday morning. And it was a class about how to survive the commercial pressures of the third year, you know, the sort of thing that, why has he got an agent and I haven't? You know, that kind of thing. And I had some things, we had a discussion, some stuff on the flip chart, and I noticed at one point, through the windows, we have little small windows in the doors, there was this young teenager taking notes. So I said to the class, ask him in, see what he wants. So he came in and said his name was Josh, and he was from the Saturday Junior Drama group, and he was just curious, it was his lunch hour, and he was curious to see what was going on. So I said to him, well, that's great, Josh, that's great that you're curious, but believe me, at this point in your life, you do not need to be worrying about commercial pressures. Just enjoy the acting. And I sent him on his way. And then one of my students, actually, it was Charlie, said, but Ken, he was showing exactly what you've been teaching us. He was full of curiosity and you've sent him away. Sort of complete epiphany, you know. I think, I said, quick, go and get him, bring him back, you know. Tell him he can ask us anything he wants, but it's too late, he was gone. But there's a happy ending. A few days later, I managed to track him down and arrange for 3 of our students to meet him the next Saturday, and they could talk to him about the training. And I think they got on well. And I also arranged to talk to him when I was in on a Saturday. He could ask me anything he wanted about the training. He came with a very carefully prepared list of interview questions, and we had a great chat.
Now, the reason I'm telling you this is that boy showed a curiosity that somehow inspired us to want to help him, to make an effort for him, to make time for him. And if you in your work as an actor can show curiosity, I promise you, other people are more likely to want to help you.
Because it's so important. And my question to you is this. If, at this point we called him Curious Josh as a nickname. If Curious Josh had mediocre talent, and we don't know this because none of us has seen him act, if he had mediocre talent, could he, through his strong curiosity and effort, and under the guidance of expert tuition of the kind you would get in a top drama school, could Curious Josh become an outstanding actor? Time will tell. But my guess is he will do very well, if he's in a motivating environment. So it goes both ways. So I want to go on to imagination. One of the most reliable indicators of a great actor is the uniqueness of their imagination. And this goes hand in hand with playfulness. Most of my work is about creating a space where actors can be truly playful, and they feel it's okay to get it wrong, to mess things up. In fact, to help me do this, I've introduced a weekly medal in my improvisation classes for the most joyous risk-taking. And this really works, because people really like to aspire to win this medal. It's only plastic, to really to go for it and to take risks. So it becomes playful and fun. Now you might think, well, playful is nothing special. I mean, we're actors after all, players. But I'm sure you all know that when you're under pressure, playfulness is the first thing that goes out the window, isn't it? Actors forget to play. So the key thing here is to take the pressure off. And to do that, a good way is just to put the focus on the others. Or as the great improvisation teacher Keith Johnson told me, give each other a good time in that. So it's a bit like this. Look, if I'm standing here thinking, oh, they're all a bit serious, this is not really going over, I don't think I'm doing a good job here. Where's the energy going? It turns inward, doesn't it? And I project my anxiety. Whereas I'm not that important. It's not about me. It's really about the story that I have to tell. So if I concentrate on that, and if we have the next slide there, if I concentrate on that, on the story, then I become the vehicle for that message that connects with your hearts and minds, because it's an intellectual and an emotional transaction. Now, where's the energy going? The energy goes out and forward, and I have more chance of projecting my confidence. Because it doesn't become about me, it becomes about you connecting and getting the message. That's all that's important. So make it about them, not about you. Would you like to see this in action? Okay, so I can't get 5 actors on stage to do this in front of you. So I'm going to show you a clip. I'm going to show you a little video clip of a class where the aim is to create a sense of playfulness by focusing on giving each other a good time. In fact, the instruction is kill each other, but not in the way you think. So the exercise is it's 2 people, and she's sitting on the couch, he comes home, and they play the scene. And the moment you feel awkward or at a loss, or you don't know what to say, or you're embarrassed or whatever, you clap your hands and your partner dies gracefully. So you blame them if you don't feel well. So then you start the scene again and you try and get beyond that point. So the aim is to make sure your partner enjoys playing with you, wants to stay with you playing and enjoying that. A word of warning first. If you were to come into one of my classes, you might be a bit shocked at the apparent anarchy, but I assure you there is control in the apparent chaos. It's quite an important point, because without any form, if you have creativity and all that going on, it's wonderful and spontaneous, but it's just a mess, isn't it? The spontaneity needs to happen within a form. And that controls it. So you can do anything you like within that form. And it's this tension between spontaneity and discipline that makes for the excitement and gives the sense of danger. The danger, where we think, what's he going to do now? Where's this going? What's going to happen? Anyway, here's a little glimpse of a class. They're all working simultaneously, so it might be a bit noisy, but see what you mean. Nobody got hurt in the process. Okay, we'll have a look. So that's a day in the life. But the interesting thing is you can apply this also to working on a scene. It's a very good way of unlocking the imagination. So we're going to try something. This is just a little experiment in front of you. So can I have Alice and Charlie? So they're just going to do a fragment of a scene. This hasn't been worked on much. Yeah? It hasn't been directed, has it? And I'll just show you one process that I use. The process here is to kind of short-circuit the intellect by giving the actor other tasks that release the imagination. And sometimes really interesting things happen. It helps you find more ownership of the text. So let's have a look at the scene as it is first, without any work.
Should we just keep going?
I'll stop you, yeah.
Look, is that bad? Why are you flown by being completely shit? No. You just can't imagine a relationship with someone who's so epically bad as shagging. I will get better, I promise. With a bit of practice. Yes, you will. You could even practice now a bit if you want. No, I don't think so. No, yeah. My mum will be listening anyway. Yeah, sure, it's fine. Jen, say, just spit it out.
It's not what I planned to happen.
Oh no, Christ, no.
So I'm just
a bit what? I mean, I'm a bit fucking over the moon. But you're not.
Okay, good. Yeah, we'll leave it there. Now, so a good point to start is just to remind yourself what do you want in the scene? What is his objective? What are you doing to her?
I wanted to tell me that the sex that we just had is the best sex that she's ever had.
Okay, so I want to win your approval for my sexual performance. What are you doing to him?
I don't want to hurt his feelings.
All right, I want to try not to hurt. Okay, I just want to get you away from me. Yes, without hurting your feelings. Okay, just go to opposite sides of the room. When I say go, run in and play the objective for all you're worth. Ready, go, with the text. Yeah, go.
Fuck, it's not bad. Have I just learned about being completely shit? No. I will get better, I promise, with a bit of practice. We could even practice now, bitch.
No!
So, that's fine.
I can't read it soon anyway.
Yeah, sure. Jen, just spit it out.
It's not what I planned to happen.
No, quite close.
Just a bit.
A bit. What? I mean, I'm a bit fucking over the moon.
Okay, fine. So that's just sharpened it up now. Now, a little game is, if we imagine there is a disc here, and I haven't got any keys, but we'll imagine that's the center, and you've got to keep the disc balanced. And the rule will be the person with the lines is the leader. So if it's short lines, it'll change quite quickly. Okay. All right? So just get it going. Ellis lead first, and when I say text, then go straight into the scene. So we'll imagine it's sort of a circle the size of the stage. Go. Try to make it exciting for him. And change to Charlie. Charlie leads. Give each other a good time. Make it. You look a bit serious. Okay, text.
Have I just blown it by being completely shit?
No.
You just can't imagine a relationship with someone who's so epically bad at shagging. I will get better, I promise. Practice now a bit. You want that? No, that's fine.
Keep the sense up. Okay, good. So that just gets a bit more feeling into it. Now, what animal is he?
Meerkat.
A meerkat. And what is she? A predator or an eagle? An eagle? Okay. So, yes, an eagle. Sensuous or non-sensuous?
She's not sensual.
Not sensual. So eagle, yeah, all right. Okay, so just do it on all fours or twos or wings or whatever. And when I say text, do it. So play the objective with the sounds of the animal, playing the objective through the animal. When I say text, bring it up towards human with the text, still as the animals. Clear? Okay? So animals, just playing the objective. With the sounds of the animals. Text. Text.
Have I exploded by being completely shit? No. You just can't imagine a relationship with someone who's so epically bad at shagging.
Back to animals. Text.
I will get better. I promise we'll win a bit of practice.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
We could. Now, I'll wait if you want.
No.
No, that's fine.
My mum will be here soon.
Okay, what colour is she? What colour?
Red.
Red, what colour is he? Yellow? Okay. Sound and movement in the whole space. Sound and movement as the energy of the colour, yellow and red. When I say text, take the colours into it. Text.
Focus is that bad. Am I exploded by being completely shit? No. You just can't imagine a relationship with someone who is so epically bad at shagging. I will get better.
I'm sure you will.
Back to the colours, abstract. Text.
We could even practice now a bit if you want.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good. Where's this? One more. So where is his centre? Where is his centre of energy?
Maybe because he's just, I don't know. My dilemma is either here because he's just had sex and he wants sex again.
Okay, here. Where's her centre?
Let's do the opposite. Up here.
Up here, where? In the head? In the head, okay. And what's the quality of the centre? Is it like lava, springs going off, boiling water?
Boiling water.
Boiling water? What's his... Is it lava, soggy sponge?
It's not.
Lava, hot rumbling lava and boiling water. So there, right. So just sound and movement, just doing all that. Use the whole space. Text.
What was it that bad? Have I exploded by being completely shit?
No.
You just can't imagine a relationship with someone who's so epically bad at shagging. I will get better. I promise. With a bit of practice.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
And we could even practice now a bit if you
No,
want.
I don't think so.
No, that's fine.
My mum will be here soon anyway.
Yeah, sure. Jen, just spit it out.
It's not what I planned to happen.
Oh, no.
Okay, good, right. So we could go on and on, but what have we done? We've looked at the objective, we looked at the game of the disc, we looked at the animals, we looked at the colours, we looked at different centres and qualities of the centre. Is that enough? Yes, okay. Put it all together and see what you do with it. So just go on opposite sides. When I say go, opposite sides. When I say go, run in, play the scene, put the whole thing together. Go. And go.
Fuck, was it that bad? Have I just blown it by being completely shit?
No.
You just can't imagine a relationship with someone who is so epically bad at shagging. I will get better, I promise. With a bit of practice.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
We could even practice now a bit if you want.
Nah, I don't think so.
No? Yeah, that's fine.
My mum will be here soon anyway.
Yeah, sure. Jen, Jen, say, just spit it out.
It's not what I planned to happen.
Well, no, Christ, no.
So, just a bit.
A bit what? I mean, I'm a bit fucking over the moon. But you're not.
I thought we'd do it. I didn't think we'd do it then, but it's fine.
If you're saying you didn't want what we did.
I'm saying I didn't think we'd do it last night.
And when you realised we were doing it, I didn't notice you saying stop.
I didn't want to spoil things.
What? I'm sorry, what?
Because we were having a lovely night, and we were.
Jen, if you didn't want something, you should have just stopped me.
Well, yeah, probably, but it doesn't. Yeah, okay, probably I should.
Yeah, you
Sorry.
should.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Well done. Good. Yeah. So the important thing, this is your work as an actor. It's not a director's work, because directors just don't have time to do all this during rehearsals. So it's work that you can do with your scene partner. It means that you can then bring a more interesting offer to the director. And they don't have to just pick it up off the floor and start from scratch. Now, some directors will want to start from scratch. They don't want you to mess around with the scene until they get their hands on it. That's fine. But you could use this as a last-ditch solution if you're really stuck with the script and you don't know what to do. And you can do that could be your secret. You know? The director doesn't need to know you're doing it as purple or cashmere or an eagle or whatever. So that's one way of working on the imagination.
Now we come to presence. This is something that everyone wants a piece of. Not just actors, but almost all the executives I've worked with too. We can think of presence in terms of time and space. Are you present now, in this present moment, not dragged back into the past or forward into the future? And are you sending energy into the space you're in?
So I want to take you through, I'm just going to show you a few approaches to presence that I use in the teaching, and we'll see how you could apply it as an actor and what you could do. But we need to take a baseline first. So Poppy, perhaps, if we just have a little fragment of a monologue, just to see, this is without any work on it, so just store this in your mind.
Why should I love this gentleman? 'Tis odds he never will affect me. I am base, my father the mean keeper of his prison, and he a prince. To marry him is hopeless, to be his whore is witless. Out upon't. What pushes are we wenches driven to when 15 once has found us?
Okay, good. Thank you very much. So what we know, so we'll just stay here. What we know about presence is that it's an energy that must radiate outwards, and it goes in all directions, yes, in front of you, around. So it puts you almost in a sphere, yeah, what is above you and below you. And it's almost as if you are standing at the center of the universe. And we know that that must come from relaxation, rather than physical tension. So you radiate that energy gently in every direction throughout the universe. It can have a central focus to another actor, but your peripheral vision is very important, and everything around you. So let's just talk through that. If you think, put yourself in the center of that space, you're sending the energy out in front of you, behind you, through your back, through the sides, up above your head, right through the ceiling, through your feet, right down through the floor. And you extend that gently in every direction, right through the walls, right through the ceiling, right down through the floor. And when you're ready, just see if there's any change in the text.
Why should I love this gentleman? 'Tis odds he never will affect me. I am base. My father the mean keeper of his prison, and he a prince. To marry him is hopeless. To be his whore is witless. Out upon. What pushes are we wenches driven to when 15 once has found us? First I saw him. I, seeing, thought he was a goodly man.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Is there a difference you see? There's more, more presence. It's just coming from relaxing. Anything you find?
Yeah, it's just I focused on going out and up and down rather than focusing on myself at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Good. So the interesting thing is here, just a simple shift in your thinking can bring about a change in what we see or what we feel, we pick up. There's one important thing you need to know about presence. It needs to be centered or grounded, the energy. That's important because under pressure, for example, when you're nervous, when you're a bit stressed, when you're angry or upset, your center of energy will naturally rise, and that puts you off balance. So being grounded is very important. So I want to just show you a very simple way of finding a very powerful presence in the space. We have, is it Nick and Alice conversation? So if we have two people, if you just stand facing each other, if we have two people in conversation, we could think about that as a horizontal connection, they speak eye to eye, or we could think of it as a circle of energy. Now the question is, say, Ellis is initiating the conversation, which way does the energy go? To use a cricket analogy, is he on an overarm ball, or is he on an underarm ball? And which of the two would be stronger? So have a conversation both on overarm. So your energy is coming up through your head into Sid, your energy is coming up through your head into Sid, and see how it goes. Anything, yeah.
What's the most exciting thing you did this week?
The most exciting thing I did was I am organising a fundraiser tomorrow night.
Brilliant. What's it?
It's called the Chip Shop. I run a paid company and I'm doing a fundraiser tomorrow night, which I'm very excited for.
And I think I'll be there as well.
I think you'll be there. I don't know why.
Okay, good, thank you. So it's quite hard to listen to that, isn't it? Because it's coming from physical tension, and they're all off-center all the time. But this happens naturally. Now, what happens if you're on an underarm circle of energy, underarm, so all your energy is coming through there, connects with him, coming through there. The same conversation.
What's the most exciting thing that happened to you this week?
I'm organising a fundraiser for my paid company, which is happening tomorrow.
Fantastic. I think I'll be there.
I hope you will be.
I don't think you will.
Full price.
What?
We need to make money for the paid company and you support the arts.
That's really true. I do feel I will do that.
What about you?
My girlfriend to a house.
Nice! Where?
Okay, good, right, thank you very much, good. So do you see, we can see that difference. There's immediately a change in the sound of the voice. Thank you. And just to look at how we might apply that when you're actually using text. Tohi, can we have you? So just if you were taking a bit of text on overarm energy and sending it out to the audience, everything comes up through your head, really make it as strong as you can. Go for it.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. The evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. Let it be with Caesar. But noble Brutus had told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were true, it was a grievous crime, and grievously had Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, Brutus is an honourable man.
Okay, good, fine, good. So do you see some of that? It pushes us away, doesn't it, a little bit? Okay, underarm circle. So just relax the belly, knees released, and all the energy is coming up through here, and send it out to the audience.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. But the evil that men do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. Let it be with Caesar. The noble Brutus had told you Caesar was ambitious. If it were true, it was a grievous crime, and grievously Caesar answered it. Here, under leave of Brutus and the rest, Brutus is an honourable man. So are they all honourable men. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral.
Okay, good, thank you very much. Can you detect a difference? Anything you discover? What do you find?
Yeah, you can take your time a lot more, and you can actually think as opposed to just.
Good. Thank you very much. Good. I think in my research, some of the most useful secrets about presence come from the Far East. That the overarm, underarm energy is from China, from ancient China, for example, though I've adapted that. But I'm thinking particularly of the great theatre traditions like Kabuki, No, Katakali, Peking opera, particularly in the Japanese traditions. The traditional Japanese actor is working from their center of gravity, like the martial artists. This area they refer to as hara. And in specific, the energy they're sending energy out from there, through the eyes, through the hands, through the lower abdomen. They refer to that as qi. They call it qi energy. In China, it's called qi. And it's very, very powerful. It can give you great strength. In Tokyo, over 40 years ago, I was very lucky to work with a great martial arts teacher who taught 4 principles of qi energy. And these principles were to keep the 1 point, that's about 2 inches below your navel, and that was the center of gravity, to be relaxed completely in a positive way, to keep the weight on the underside, and to extend qi. And they were very powerful exercises. So we're just going to show you very, very briefly some of these exercises. These actors have worked on qi energy before, so you have to take our word for it that we're not faking it. So would you like to come up into the space? I'll just insert here. So let's look first at just shaking the weights down to get the sense of the 1 point. And if I work, say with Nick, if you come over here, yes, if you keep the 1 point there, often if we stand up straight, we try and make ourselves rigid, actually do that, just make yourself straight. If I apply a pressure here, he's going to go over, so it's not really very, very useful. But by keeping the body relaxed and sending the weight down to the 1 point, do you get that? And if I apply that, do you see what happens? It just goes right through. So he's now grounded and centered. Take 1 step forward. Yeah? And he sends the weight down. The weight is going down. And if I lean on there, it's just like leaning on a lamppost. It's really very strong. Yeah? Go over there. Whereas if the body is rigid, just make the body tense, do you see there's not very much there, so it's not good. Keeping the weight on the underside. Does anyone want to try the lifting? So if you make the body tense, and just see if you can lift Alice. Okay, up it goes. Okay. So shake the weight down, and so you keep the 1 point, keep the body relaxed, and the weight on the underside, keep all the weight down, the weight on the underside, keep the concentration on the 1 point. We all know that a dead weight is heavier to lift than a tense weight, but we're now looking at something different. This is a centered weight. So let's see how it goes. Does that feel right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, that's a good, well done. So there's a difference there. And then the other thing is, if I just demonstrate while you're on a roll here, just send all the weight down. So the weight on the underside. So for example, the weight on the underside of the arm. So if I try to lift the arm up through the shoulder, see, it's very difficult to lift that because he just chooses to leave it there. Whereas if the center rises, it becomes weaker. Concentrate on the top of your head. The top of you, leave the arm loose, but just top of your head there. And you can see it just goes up. And we can look at extending the qi energy. As you can do it in pairs. Extend the qi energy. Is anyone doing that? Oh, no, I'm just thinking of the arm, yes. Okay, do you want to try it with Poppy? From behind? So just have the arm up there. Flex your arm as hard as you can, so you've got one arm there, over there, and just keep that flat, and Flex your arm as strong as you can. Try and bend the arm. Yes. Oh, were you trying? Okay, all right. Okay, just shake the weight down. So concentrate on the one point. The body relaxed, the weight on the underside. This time, as you lift the arm, keep the weight on the underside of the arm, and think of sending the energy, the key energy, out through the fingers. Okay, so just bring it up gently. So keep the one point, and send the energy out through the fingers. It's a little bit like the water in a fire hose. It's traveling right out a great distance. It goes right through the wall, right out a great distance. That's right. And just keep it going. Keep the one point. You can try. And just start gently. Good. Keep it going all the way through the distance. Great distance. Good. Okay, well done. That's good. And finally, you can use this when walking with key. So some of us, we're going to stop them. And who's walking? Who am I working with? Okay, Tohi. We'll go slightly towards the audience, yeah, just to make it a bit more. So the people walking come down this way. We're making this up as we go along. So people walking, okay, you could do it like that, right. This time, think behind you. Because often when we're walking down the street, there's not much presence, because we're not really present. And we're often thinking in the past, thinking behind you. So let's just test that. We're just going to stop them around, across the shoulders, go. Behind you. Okay, good, all right. Will you try? Okay. Shake the weights down. The body relaxed. The weight on the underside. Keep the one point. And this time, when you walk, you say to yourself in your mind, I'm going to move forward from the one point. So use whatever image, whether it's like a laser beam going out or a line of light, and just keep walking from that point. When you come to us, just keep going until you don't hit the camera, but until you get across there. All right? When you're ready, from the one point, keep it nice and relaxed. From the one point, going right across. Okay, good. So that's a good position to speak from. So Charlie, I know we didn't do a bass line for that. Do you want to do a little monologue or for a bit of that? With the key energy, yes. So you're thinking of extending the key energy right up. The body's relaxed, the weight on the underside. If you use your arms, the key energy goes through the fingers and through the eyes.
Sir, spare your threats. The bug which you would frighten me with, I see. To me, can life be no commodity? The crown and comfort of my life, your favour. I do give loss, for I do feel it gone, but know not how it went. My second joy and first fruits of my body, from his presence I am barred, like one infectious. My third comfort, starred most unluckily, is from my breast, the innocent milk in it most innocent mouth.
Thank you very much. Okay, good. Yeah. So there's a good presence there. Well done. There's one other thing about the presence. Practice this in little ways every day. Practice it walking along the street, because if you look around you, most people are walking around, with their mobile phone going like this, and they bang into things or go downstairs and all that sort of thing. Where's the presence in that? So if you just think of extending the key energy, moving forward, gradually it's there for you in these big moments when there's a lot of pressure. It becomes part of your normal habit.
Finally, let's move on to charisma. It's a vague term, but it comes up time and time again. We need a more charismatic actor for this role. She has great charisma on stage. I've even heard on Radio 4 someone saying, well, of course, this is a very charismatic animal.
What does that mean? What does that give us? So, what do we understand about charisma? This is the subject of my next book. So, this is a work in progress, but what I can tell you so far is that it's an energy that leaves the body and connects with other people. But here's the important thing. Something travels back to you. Definitions of charisma talk about devotion, about followership, about attraction. So it's or about magnetism. You know, it's something that comes back. You attract back to you. So perhaps in terms of presence, you can be present by yourself doing an exercise. But to be charismatic, you need somebody else there to be charismatic on. One definition of it was that it's about power, presence, and warmth. I would add passion to that, because that increases the energy of the thought. And for people in business, that's very important as well, because it's very much important in the way you convey your vision and enhance that charismatic leadership. We also know that it must come from an animated body, fully alive and expressive of the thought. You can't be charismatic sitting on your hands. And we know it comes from relaxation rather than tension. And therefore what I call an effective energy, which takes us back to the key energy, that kind of thing. And of course, charisma can be positive or negative. All dictators have had charisma. Otherwise, they would never have come to power or held on to power. In terms of theatre, think Richard III. He must be compelling, sexy, magnetic to make that work. But what you want to know is, how do you get charisma? Yeah? Or even, can everybody have charisma? My Greek teacher, Nikos, tells me that the word charisma in both ancient and modern Greek means a gift. So that seems to suggest that it's something you've got to be born with. However,
we can all strengthen our charisma by following certain principles. I'm not going to go into a lot of this now, but one final thing I will explore with you, and that is the eyes. Because the energy and the concentration of the eyes is one of the truest indications of charisma.
The most charismatic actors on stage, they have, or are able to give a hugely powerful focus to the other actor. And because of that, they seem to generate more energy than anyone else on stage. Just look at someone like Judi Dench. She has an enormous energy on stage. There's an Indian saying that the eyes are the windows of the soul. And when you look at some of the Asian theatre traditions, you start to understand what this means. Because in these various acting styles, Bali, India, China, Japan, the eyes have a much, much more important part to play in the expression of the character. Much, much more so than in Western theatre. So I'm going to show you a little video clip now of some different forms of theatre. The last one, by the way, you'll see some exercises in Kathakali, the South Indian dance form. You'll see somebody practicing the exercises. And I used to do this myself for 2 months in India. We would start the classes at 5 o'clock in the morning, and everybody would do for an hour and a half these exercises. Nobody wore glasses there. It's very, very useful. Anyway, so have a look at the energy of the eyes.
പ്രാക്ടീസ് ചെയ്യും. അധ്യാപകർ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നത് മൂവ്മെൻറ്റുകൾ മാത്രമേ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നുള്ളൂ. നമ്മുടെ മനസ്സും കൂടി ചേരുമ്പോഴാണ്
Now, the interesting thing also is that in Western acting, expressive eyes are a quality of many of the greatest movie stars. The interesting thing is here that they were often better at this when they began, before they became famous, than later when they were movie stars and had a reputation to defend. Have a look at some of these clips of some great movie stars in their very first screen performances, and look at the energy of the eyes.
Oh, I could twist the broken end in your face.
But you would do that.
I would. How will it you?
Wanna have a little rough house, huh? Alright, let's have a little rough house.
Why do they always look like unhappy rabbits?
Because that's what they are. Now go and make him happy.
How'd you do?
Mettiamo tutto a posto. Steve sta lì, si deve finire.
C'est que tu penses à maman dans un lit, avec une vraie femme, une battante. Oui, ah ben ça d'accord. Ah oui, non mais pas le genre des non, une gagneuse. Tu sais plus où il y a la tête, tu sais plus où il y a les pieds et t'as le tournis, quoi. Tu crois que c'est fini, puis paf, ça repart à l'attaque. Une affamée, une qui a vraiment envie. Ça la tenaille, là. Ça passe à bout de temps qu'elle est pas.
Good. So finally, I would like to test this idea on stage. This is an experiment, so we take a risk, but let's see what happens. I would like, is it Nick going to do a little fragment of a speech? And have we, just get this over to here. Okay. And who do you want to speak this to? Now what we're looking at here is when you're auditioning, it's very easy for you to be very focused on yourself. Yeah? Because you're trying to do your best. And that can sometimes bring down a wall between you and your audience, or between you or the person auditioning you. And so I want you this first time, we're going to do it twice. The first time, I want you to be very aware, as you're talking to Poppy, be aware of the sound of the voice, the effect you're having, how you're phrasing the words, how it's all going. So it's all about you. So you're very self-conscious. Yeah. But at the same time, do your best.
It's actually a relief being a ghost. No one can see me, so nobody cares. And when nobody cares, that's when you're really free.
No ambition needed, no judgment, no attempt, so no failure. And I don't have any thoughts either, which is cool. I just let the wind blow me. Through the park, down the alleyways of Govern Hill. When I get tired, I walk through walls all the way home. But it's unresolved somehow.
Okay, then let's have a look at that. Now, so I want you to do it again, and this time, forget about yourself and try to change Poppy in some way. Try to have an effect on her.
Yeah.
So you're not thinking about yourself at all, but it's entirely about changing her. The reason I've put this on close-up is I just want you to see any details, minute changes of the eyes, which might be difficult to pick up, from the auditorium. Okay, so see how it goes.
It's actually a relief being a ghost. No one can see me, so nobody cares. And when nobody cares, that's when you're really free. No ambition needed, no judgment, no attempt, so no failure. And I don't have any thoughts either, which is cool. I just let the wind blow me. Through the park, down the alleyways of Govern Hill. When I get tired, I walk through walls all the way home. But it's unresolved somehow. Half and half.
Okay, good. Well done. Is there a difference there? Do you see? Yeah? Just something comes a little bit more to life. Would you like to see, this is almost at the end, would you like to see one more of that? So do you want to change over, Poppy? And we'll just do the same thing. Again, the thing is, when you're auditioning, you're doing your best. And it's very easy to be focused on yourself. And maybe the eyes end up being not as expressive as they could be. So again, just thinking, you can come quite close here to the microphone, and just thinking about the effect, your sound of your voice, how you're phrasing the words, any gestures you make, the effect you're having, how it's coming out.
Okay.
You're very aware of your performance.
Okay. It was the strangest thing. I felt so miserable. I don't think I'd ever felt so miserable. Well, maybe apart from... Anyway, I felt awful. So I got up to put the turkey in, and then I thought, I don't want to put the bloody turkey in. I don't even like turkey. I just want to do something. Something absolutely atrocious. Something absolutely horribly shocking. So I ate half the Yule log. I ate it with my hands at 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I went to look at Christopher's flower bed. And somewhere between the sugar rush and the terrible pain of it all, I started walking. And walking, and walking, and walking, and I was thinking about Christmas and Christopher, and why the hell do I have to be good?
Okay, all right, and then let's try it now. Forget about yourself, and just try to affect Nick in some way. Yeah? So it becomes all about him.
Okay.
Watch him very carefully to see what effect you're having.
Okay. It was the strangest thing. I felt so miserable. I don't think I've ever felt so miserable. Or maybe apart from... Anyway, I felt awful. So I got up to put the turkey in, and then I thought, I don't want to put the bloody turkey in. I don't even like turkey. I just want to do something. Something absolutely atrocious. Something absolutely horribly shocking. So I ate half the Yule log. I ate it with my hands at 5 o'clock in the morning. And then I went to look at Christopher's flower bed. And somewhere between the sugar rush and the terrible pain of it all, I started walking, and walking, and walking, and walking, and I was thinking about Christmas and Christopher. And why the hell do I have to be good? Why do I have to keep everything together?
Okay, good. Thank you. Well done. And again, you detect a difference there. Can you see it? So it's something for you to try out, when you're next auditioning. Just put all the focus on the other person. So whatever level you're at, I hope you now have some practical ideas that can help you on your journey to outstanding. And I hope I've persuaded you that through effort you can make a difference, both to the level of work you produce and to how far you go in your career. To finish, I just want to leave you with one final thought. As an actor, you need special powers to transport your audience and keep them riveted for hours on end. Ordinary people can't do that. Unlocking the secret of those powers can take us all our professional lives. But as long as we can keep alive and curious to the world around us, challenging ourselves outside our comfort zone, we are more likely to move closer to our goal. For me, one of the greatest discoveries I made is simply this, The measure of my success is the degree to which I can make others successful. In other words, it's not about me, it's about you. And for you, as actors and directors, the measure of your success is the degree to which you can make other people, your audience, excited. In the end, it's not about us, it's about others. Thank you very much.